Namaste, Jai Bharat. Films make definite influence in any society. And when we talk about Hindi films, people call it as Bollywood. I don't like the term, but why should you call it as Bollywood? There's a Hollywood doesn't mean that we'll call Bombay film industry as Bollywood, and somebody would call it as in different woods. Why should you just become a copycat and miserably imitating and glorifying someone else who is not yours? That's a very funny kind of judgment, I say. Now, in the film industry, uh, has its own merits and of late much demerits. See, in the beginning we used to have movies based on stories and themes and morals, etc. If you look at Saurabh Modi period film, Motilal period film, and they were entertainers, and they were also narrating stories, and they were also to a great extent nationalists kind of movies. Then you have these great movies of Guru Dutt type of people, and which used to be based on stories and songs, very good songs. Not really that kind of entertainers, but they used to be entertaining anecdotes in that, entertaining episodes in that. For you see, look at Piazza, where they have created a Johnny Walker who has that song written by the poet Guru Dutt, सर जो जरा चकराई दिल डूबा जाए आजा प्यारे पास हमारे काहे खबर आई चंपे मालिश करो. Now that kind of songs used to be there, and Johnny Walker presented it beautifully. And then we have arrogant heroes, angry young man against this war, any kinds of anti-righteous steps for dharma. They used to stand. There used to be names also, dharma, etc. We have in that series, Dharmendra, Amitabh Bachchan, and before that Rajkumar, of course, you can't forget. Rajkumar, like great heroes, Sanjeev Kumar, Rajkumar, then Amitabh Bachchan, and Dharmendra, Jitendra, all those series. Now this used to be some kind of a glorious time in Hindi movies, and then the infiltration of jihadis takes place. The funds used to come from jihadi company. I would just roughly say jihadi company as using it as a blanket term, whichever corners they come from. Maybe at that the Middle East was emerging as a rich place, and money used to come from there through various technicalities, agencies, and underground studies, underground operations, which are well known to people. They used to make such movies. Then suddenly such hopeless and spurious movies started coming forward, and quite a few things. If you see, the villain is always a Brahmin. The villain is always a Brahmin. He'll have that red tika on his forehead. Many movies you have seen Amrish Puri as a villain with that red tika on his forehead. And there's some non-Hindus used to be the heroes, or not so prominent Hindus used to be the heroes. And see, suppose even the movie has no Muslim character at all, in between suddenly comes an Islamic song, which is absolutely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the context, but suddenly springs forth a song like Allah something used to come. If you observe, this used to happen every time. Many times the Muslim character is benevolent and the Hindu character is a villain. Used to go on. Brahmin used to be villain, and the names also explicitly Brahmin names. And then prostitutes used to be Brahmin women, and such things used to come. And then when the funding comes down, this of course suffers a mild setback, not completely done away with. So many things happened. Many killings happened in Bollywood. Many other things happened in Bollywood. We do not know how Gulshan Kumar got shot dead, and many such things, many names, even latest Prashant, people getting eliminated. We do not know. Uh, Things remain a secret or unknown, remains unknown. Whose hand is way behind what we don't know. Even if we know, we can't say because we have no proof. And it's not our business to speak of the investigation case and etc. That's not our profession. There are people engaged in it, they should have been doing it, and why they don't do it, they should know better. So this is a situation. This is how film develops. Now, similarly is the case in other languages also, less so in Telugu, and not so serious in Tamil and Kannada, but least in Telugu, because Telugu, you see, whatever may be the reason, they have a very strong Hindu orientation. Tamils and Kannada, they also have a serious Hindu orientation, more sensitive in Punjab. And when you go to Kerala, that's a miserable place. Kerala has been destroyed by the leftists. You see, if you look at the history of Kerala, Kerala has got port, and ports, many ports, not just existing erstwhile ports. There is be ancient ports in Kerala. One is example Mussiris, which is not a port anymore, but they used to have natural ports long back, and they used to have great trading used to happen in Kerala coast. So the trading used to happen with all kinds of people, even including Romans and Phoenicians in all likelihood. Gujarat also had trade, especially Dwaraka, that area, used to have trade, but Kerala was a long coast, having more trades, and people used to come there for trading. Many from Arabs used to come there for trading. And if you look at the trading ethics and traders' ethics, it's always give and take. Though it's a part of history that Thales of Greece in pre-Socratic period had learned about Panchabhutas from Punjabi merchants, and Thales understood Panchabhutas as 5 gross elements and kept the story of 5 gross elements, which still continues, is there, but that's an exception. Not all traders are scholars, there used to be some. The traders have fundamental trading ethics that you make profit, I make profit, that's it. So this kind of profit orientedness, that's materialistic outfit. A materialistic outlook entered into the minds of the coastal people of Kerala. So it was naturally turning more into materialistic perception. And then this used to be the background, and against this background comes communism. And communism took root so sharply in Kerala those days, ancient times. And the materialistic inclination of an average Keralite has got stronghold from the Marxian materialistic dialectics. It was easy for them to translate the Marxian materialistic dialectics into the already existing materialistic inclination of the minds of the people. Then there was another case. They used to have caste distinctions, and interestingly, they had made caste distinctions into 2 broad classes: the Savarnas and the Avarnas, 2 classes. Varna has nothing to do with the Varna of Vedic times, and Varna of Vedic times is not caste, but they treat it as caste. So one group from particular caste above is called Savarnas, and one group from particular caste below. Very strange kind of structure they have made. I don't know how it came into existence. It must have evolved over a period of time. They are called Avarnas. Now, this Savarna-Avarna distinctions became very handy to the Marxist thinkers. Those days, Marxist thinkers used to read Marx, not like these days. So, Marx has got a class distinction, or the bourgeoisie and proletariat, and also there's a petty bourgeoisie in between. Marx has got a distinction of bourgeoisie and proletariat, and it was easy. It was easy for the communist cadres in Kerala, Marxist inclined Marxist minds, to make the Savarnas as bourgeoisie and Avarnas proletariats, and just Marxism went into the minds of people like fire. the Avarnas were all proletariats, and there were songs in Malayalam language saying that all this paddy field which we are now working on will become ours. A famous poet has written this song. All these paddy fields where we work will one day belong to ours. That shall be ours. Now, this kind of spurious Marxian interpretation was given to the minds of people, and the so-called low class, so-called I would say low class, Avarnas, become the champions of revolution in their mind, and they took place this funny kinds of revolution with spears. With spears, the communist cadres made people attack the police. And remember, who was the prime minister? That is Diwan of Travancore, was none other than Dr. Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer. If I am right, he was a PhD in philosophy, and he was also former vice chancellor of Banaras Hindu University. Great mind. He had written such wonderful treatises, such great things. Great scholar, great sensible person, and against his police, and he just suppressed them, not directly. The king was just a soft person, and it was Sir C.P. who was literally ruling for the sake of Hindus. That's always there. Sir C.P. was the first savior, protector of the Hindu community in Kerala, a cross-caste system. He did not give in much to the Savarna distinctions. He, of course, himself being a Brahmin, knew that the Hindu society is one. And that is demonstrated through his entire action, words, etc. But he was depicted by the communists as an oppressor. That's really not the case always. Not really the case, as I understand. So, they have attacked the police under this influence of the Marxist leaders, and the leaders all fled. These people died. They told in the guns on the rifles, actually there, in the rifles which the police carry, there are no bullets. There are only that dal, some dals there, and that makes sound. Dal and the salt makes sound. It doesn't kill. And people believed this, and they got killed in huge numbers. 2 places it took place in Kerala, if I'm not wrong, and people got killed, and all those killed got killed, and their family lost those people, and the Marxist leaders escaped. No one was there. None of the so-called great leaders of Marxism those days, who later became acquired positions, etc., became ministers, must have become ministers, Lord, were not in the field. They just ran away. They just did their typical kinds of exhibited their character, true character. This is what happened in Kerala. And with this, things are going on in Malayalam movies. We started talking about movies. Malayalam movies also evolved. Initially, there were no much Malayalam movies, but then they became, in between, they became popular for their structured stories, etc. Good stories, etc. No technicality so serious with, like, compared to our Hindi movies, but good stories, sometimes good message, etc. Used to make Malayalam movies like the Bengali movies. They also had a structure and story. Bengali had more serious stories. Bengali's literature was much richer than Kerala literature. So this happened. Now communism went on into taking power, and there happened to be an elected Marxist government in Kerala, which was dissolved by Nehru for whatever reasons I don't know. I don't know, means I don't want to comment. The Marxist government was dissolved, and there were so many Marxists in all positions in Kerala. From then onwards, it continues. So their movies moved like that. Then with the Gulf boom, most likely with the Gulf oil boom, people started going to the Gulf nations to make earning, etc., etc., etc. And there became a movement again, the influence of jihadis. Then, of course, agencies and nations started having budget to support jihadi terrorism. and that these things were evolving. So much of money, as it used to get pumped into the Hollywood, into the Hindi movies, it started slowly coming into Kerala. And then you find very strange movies getting, as it used to happen in Hindi movies. Very strange movies were getting made in the industry of Kerala, Malayalam industries, with the support of the jihadi, radical Islam, I would say, not radical Islam's funding, that gets precipitated in, and then many such attempts used to go on, and there was no countering from the Hindu forces for this kind of thing. It continues, and it rather continued. On the other hand, in Hindi industries, with the rather to some extent cessation of the radical Islamic fund, things became changed, and there always stood the Telugu movies. That started Telugu cinema world. They also started making movies in Hindi. They used to make Hindi movies even in the past. Used to make Hindi movies that was somewhere challenging this influence of radical Islam. Otherwise, Hindi movie was washed away to a reasonable extent by the radical Islamic movement. Similar thing happened in Kerala, but that continues. I just say this because there was this recent movie which must have got released yesterday or 2 days back, which is, I don't know, but apparently I trust that it is funded by the radical Islamist people, Hindus characters, but then the movie talks about Godhra. The movie talks about Godhra as the BBC documentary talks about Godhra, trying to accuse Sangha Parivar, trying to accuse the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and its Karyakartas, saying that they have done this, they have done this, that, and you can imagine the narratives which are spurious and false and obviously baseless. And this has become a discussion there. And even in the previous occasion, there was some movies about Sufi and Sujata. Why, along with the Sufi, the Sujata's name should come? And the Sujata, Hindu girl, falls in love with the Sufi. And these kind of things used to happen in Malayalam industry when the money used to come from radical Islam. The radical Islam is still funding. Radical Islam is desperate in trying to make infiltrations into Hindu society. It is so degrading. No matter what happens to radical Islam on the global phenomena, global arena, that makes no difference to the funders of radical Islam. They keep continuing the same thing, and also, I say, becoming gluttons for punishment, start taking punishment from all kinds of quarters. Hamas is just an example, and there are many other things that happens. These things have to be observed and understood, and we should keep these things in mind when you meet new people, when you make friends, and when you also interact with the people in the cultural arena, whether it is art, architecture, films, or any kind of aesthetical forms, where deeper penetration has not gone into, but stage songs, there is definite penetration. People should be careful about it. Then the censor board has become very funny. I wonder why the censor board is not censored. It's time that the censor board also should be censored, that as to what happens in the censoring process of the censorers. We shall meet again with some other thought. Till then, Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.